Welcome to We Love Soaps TV. I'm Roger Newcomb. I'm here with Hansis.
Hello.
TV star, theater star, now movie star.
Soon to be.
Soon to be movie star. So, before we talk about Occupant, which is your new film, I just want to talk a little bit about your career leading up to that. And just for people who may not know, you've wanted to be an actor forever, basically.
Yeah, for me, there wasn't too much of an option in my mind. I think when I was 3, I wanted to be a rock climber, but that's just because there was like a big boulder in our backyard and I would climb it. So after my career in rock climbing, kind of went away. I was cast in like a little play when I was a kid at some church in our town, and basically because my parents needed me to do stuff while they were working. So it was so much fun. So ever since then, I just remember being like, I was probably 5 or 6, and just having so much fun and feeling like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. This is something that I can do. And kind of since then, it's just been what I've always wanted to do. And I wasn't like a child actor or anything, but I was always training for it. I was always in acting classes when I was a kid, and then I went to a performing arts boarding school. Then I went to Carnegie Mellon School of Drama, and then I was out in the real world. And I eventually ended up on As the World Turns.
Right. So, are there any other people in entertainment in your family?
No, not at all. My parents are both educators, but they've been, throughout my entire life, they've been incredibly supportive. And them both coming from an education background, what was important for them was, if you want to be an actor, they were like, great, go be an actor, but learn how to be an actor. Go to school for it. Get your training so that, I didn't just move to New York or LA when I was 18 years old with no training, no background, no knowledge of the business, none of that stuff. It was very important for them, and I'm so glad in retrospect that they really made me go to college for it. And it helped me because I feel that when I got out into the real world, I was prepared for the business.
Right. Now, I first saw you on As the World Turns almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I think over 5 years ago. Well, I started over 5 years ago.
Yeah, right. And I always said you were a natural. And as a soap fan, some people are naturals, and we've seen some people who aren't naturals. But you actually had years and years and years of training in high school and college. Classes.
I did. I had actually. I think that was my first time, besides like some small things locally in Pittsburgh where I was at school. I think that was like my first time on camera, though. Like on camera to be watched by people, not like on camera like your friends with a video camera at a party making you do stupid stuff.
Or on the subway.
Well, that actually was after As
I
World
know,
Turns.
I'm kidding.
Or during As World Turns. Finally, I got to put 20 some odd years of training to use, so that was really exciting.
When you started at Carnegie Mellon, what were your aspirations? Like, did you want to do everything, theater, film, or were you thinking mostly theater, or what were your long-term goals at that point?
Carnegie Mellon is a classic drama school, so your main focus is theater. You do a little bit of film and television stuff in your senior year.
New York Theater, Die Mommy Die, Dance Dance Revolution.
Didn't you also see, you saw that first one way back
I saw one nobody saw.
Yeah, Bloody Mary.
Oh, you played like, I played like
4 characters.
I didn't understand.
It was based on Mary Queen of Scots. It was a comedy based on Mary Queen of Scots, and it was hilarious, and it was written by this amazing playwright and author named Rachel Schuckert,
who wrote a book.
Her second book just came out.
But you were in the first book. You're mentioned somehow, although I read that book and I couldn't find the reference, but supposedly you were...
I read that book too, and I don't remember being mentioned, and I think that's something I remember.
You got cut.
I got cut from the book. But her second book actually just came out. It's called Everything's Gonna Be Great. It's fantastic, and I just read that it is on the LA Times bestseller list, which is incredible. So, Rachel Schuckert, Everything's Gonna Be Great. I have to plug my friends.
So how did you pick your roles? I mean, at the time maybe you were doing.
I knew
you was doing Luke Snyder.
Somebody's like, "Do you want this role?" And I'm like, "Yes."
So all these roles have just fallen into your life, like
no, I auditioned for all of the roles.
But you saw, first of all, you see a casting call. And then what appeals to you about certain things?
With some of the smaller theater I've done, like Bloody Mary and Dance Dance Revolution, it was that stuff kind of came along through working with the people beforehand and them being my friends and knowing them. But with stuff like As the World Turns or Die Mommy Die or Occupant, it is all through, my agents will send me out on an audition, and the casting people see something they like, and then the producers see something they like, and that's pretty much how it works. And then, you get cast or you don't. But I've never turned down anything because why turn down work? Unless you have other work and you have to turn it down.
Right. I mean, you've been lucky to be in your 20s. You've had like a national TV job for 5 years.
Yeah, I know.
And a lot of different roles. I mean, you actually, because a lot of the actors I know, they don't make any money. They do theater, but they don't actually get paid.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very, very astounding to me that how lucky I've been. And it's something that I do not take for granted and will never take for granted. Because I know so many other actors, good friends of mine, who sometimes they can't even get an agent, and they're incredibly talented. And, talent and work and drive are so much of it, but a huge part of it's luck also. And just getting that first job that'll open other doors.
People say if you're an actor, you have to be able to handle rejection.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we know about the roles you got,
yeah.
but I mean, do you just let that roll off your back if you don't get a call back? Or?
Sometimes, almost all the time, yeah, let it roll off your back. It's what it is. But then there are times when you feel you get really connected, especially the closer you get and the more you think it's a reality. You get really connected to the character or the script, or you love the project, and then not to get it, that can hurt sometimes. It's not like, why didn't they like me? It's like, oh, I would have loved to have done that, and to not get that opportunity. It's a letdown, but other stuff will come along, and other projects that you feel the same way will come along, and everything is a learning experience, and it's the business. You're not going to get most of the stuff you go out for.
Wow. That's why I'm not an actor. I can't handle it.
I mean, some people get everything. I swear to God, I have some friends who get every single thing they go out for, and I'm like, oh, who were you in a past life to get all this good stuff? Mother Teresa?
But you have something good now, Occupant.
I do. I'm very excited about
When did you guys
Occupant.
shoot this, in the spring?
We shot that, yes. The spring for me was a very hectic time because we shot Occupant, I think, from April 15th to May 15th. So it was a month-long shoot. And I was off the soap at that point, and then I had to go back onto the soap and shoot all the stuff that I had missed while I was shooting Occupant. So it was...
Which was very emotional stuff.
Yeah, and Occupant is very emotional stuff too. Occupant's incredibly... it was just... There's so much... I don't know what to say because I can't give away too much stuff, but Occupant was a very... I had to go very, very far places.
Right. So can you maybe set it up for people who may not know?
Yes, I can definitely set it up. Occupant is the story of Danny Hill, who is a guy who looks just like me. It's so weird.
That's the twist.
Yeah, that's the twist. Yeah, and he's watching us open. He's like, I look just like that guy. No. So Occupant's the story of Danny Hill, and he's a young guy who his grandmother dies, and she has this beautiful apartment on the Upper West Side of New York City, and it's rent controlled, which I think all New Yorkers and probably most big city dwellers understand the beauty of rent control. It means that you get to pay, or you don't get to pay. You only pay what the rent was when it got rent control, which could have been like 1972. So when the rent was much, much lower. So she dies, and he has to go identify her body because he's the only family member in New York. And he's not close with her. He didn't really know her. So he gets this apartment, and it's beautiful. It's 3 bedrooms. It's got an art studio, huge kitchen, and he lives in this little, squalor in Queens. And so he gets there, and it's fantastic, and he identifies her body. And
life is going to be perfect.
And life's going to be fine, It's like, oh, my grandmother lived in such a beautiful place, and yep, she's dead. And then people start...
Wait, was he close to this grandmother?
No. He wasn't close to her. But then as he's leaving the apartment, he gets an offer to take over her lease under the terms that she had. So basically, he gets this huge, beautiful apartment paying the same amount that she paid, because it was rent controlled.
Can that happen?
Yes, that can happen.
I would love to get that
can
deal.
happen. That can happen. But the key is you have to have been living there before, which he wasn't. So you've got to basically lie to the board and say, I was here. So in order for him to do this, he has to stay in the apartment because the rent board might come and change his locks if he leaves. So he has to stay in the apartment, and that's when things get a little creepy.
Right. So he can't go out at all.
No.
So
he is trapped in the apartment.
What's he eating? Delivery? It's like
I'm not gonna tell you the entire movie.
It's like the story of my life. It's just delivery all day long.
You'll see what he eats. I can't tell every part of the movie, or no one will come see it.
Right. So there have been a couple of trailers, or 3 trailers put out, and in the last one that I watched, there's a lot of physical activity. I've never seen you do so much physical stuff. It seemed like you had an axe and you were stabbing something. I don't know what it was, but
I had an axe.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. To have an axe, I felt like it was my shining moment. Not my shining moment, but my shining as in the movie moment.
Yeah. I don't remember you with so many props. Like it was just, but it was. I
love props. I will always, if I have something physically to play with, I'm the happiest actor in the world. So it was great to have so many props. Yeah, the setup of the apartment was incredible because it was literally what an old woman's apartment would be who has been out of touch with society for 20, 30 years. We had magazines from the 1950s that between takes I'd be like looking at all these crazy ads from like the 50s for like, there was one story about how people were going to invent the dishwasher. I was like, wow. Take that for granted that dishwashers have been around my entire life. It's a very physical role, and it's a lot of stuff starts happening to him, and I think a lot of the physicality comes out of his need to figure out what the hell's going on in this house.
Right. So Henry Miller directed this.
Yes.
I saw one of his first films, maybe it was the first, called Late Watch about 6 years ago, and it had a big mix of quirky characters. I mean, there's definitely quirky characters in this. The one thing that's really cool actually is the apartment itself, I think, is a character, and I think that it was made. That was a very conscious choice with the filmmakers to make the apartment a character, and it's probably the quirkiest character of them all. Also, I mean, soap fans will also know Torsten K from...
Yeah, Torsten. Speaking of quirky characters, Torsten's in it, and he's fantastic. And I've seen him on All My Children, and this is completely different from that. He's incredible. He's very, very good. I think people are really gonna respond well to him.
Right. We're gonna be speaking to him soon.
They are?
About this.
Say hi for me.
He plays a doorman.
He plays a doorman. Yes, he plays a doorman. The building itself is full of these strange characters, and everyone related to the building is, you don't really know what is going on, and I think that it's fantastic in that way because it's a throwback to a kind of horror that's more of a suspense and more definitely psychological, and the horror comes out of the fear of the unknown and things going bump in the night, not somebody in a mask with a dagger chasing after a 17-year-old girl, Right. So it's a definitely psychological slow burn kind of horror.